Welcome to the Heidi Show podcast, where you'll hear compelling stories of female leaders, creators, and innovators. I'm Heidi, and today we're going to be talking with Jessica Ross. She is a fashion blogger. She's a mom of two, and she went to fashion school in LA, graduated. She had her dreams all set, and then those were kind of derailed when something really major happened in her life. And the good news is, though, there is a happy ending, and you'll hear all about that. But before we hear from Jessica, I wanted to share something that I kind of got out and wanted to share a personal story, what I got out of the podcast and a lesson that I learned, too, along the way. Because a lot of times when we think about our dreams or goals, there are things that can happen that derail that, and it can end up causing bitterness, resentfulness, make us depressed, even apathetic when we feel like we're almost forced to give in or to give up something. Well, for me, that happened with radio. I was so laser focused that radio was what I wanted to do, and my ultimate goal was to be a co-host on a morning show. Now, I had been kind of part of an afternoon show and a morning show, but never like a main co-host. And I really wanted to have more freedom and ability to help create the show than what I had before. I was at 104.7 The Fish. A lot of you that are in Atlanta know about that radio station. I was there for years, and things were really falling into place. I worked really hard to get where I was, and then things totally shifted. We got a new boss, and everything just kind of fell apart. I was given less responsibility, actually taken away a lot of responsibility, a lot of creative freedom, and it just felt like so out of control as far as, I'd worked so hard for something, and then things happened that weren't in my control that felt like they were derailing my dream. And maybe you felt like that as well. And then things started actually happening because I started getting job offers from San Diego and Boston, and these are great job opportunities. The problem about that is that I had a husband, a brand new husband, in fact, Mike Stout, who worked in radio as well. He was at the Fish, and he was working full-time there. And he also was pursuing acting, which Atlanta was such a great and is such a great place for acting. And so when I came to him with these job offers, he said, well, Heidi, I can't move from here. I don't want to move from here. And it was kind of devastating because I thought this may be the end of my dream. Like, I feel so stuck here. I don't know what else to do. And so after a while, he was the one that said, okay, listen, this is obviously is not working out. You're just miserable here. So I think you need to quit and continue to do voiceover and acting on the side. So I did. But I really struggled a little bit with some depression through all of that, and resentment from Mike, because I thought I had opportunity to continue on with my dream, but because of things that weren't necessarily, in my control, or because I decided to choose my marriage over the career, that just felt like, well, that's the end of my dream. And I really, really did struggle. But I will say, I'm going to fast forward to today, because there are so many days that I wake up and I think, I am so grateful that I'm not still in radio, because what that whole derailment did was it didn't tamper my dream, but it actually gave my dream wings. And so I think that that's what you're going to hear from Jessica today. Her story is really inspiring, and I hope that it inspires you, whether you feel like a dream has been derailed or you just feel a little stagnant. So let's go ahead and talk to Jessica and hear more from her. Jessica, I'm so glad that you're here. And what I have to tell you guys that Jessica has helped me so much in my fashion since following her, because she does all these great try-ons, which hello, I do not have time to go and try on things. And so the things that Jessica tries on, I'm like, oh, yes. Okay, great. That looks good. Totally love that. And then she provides a link. So I'm actually wearing a shirt that Jessica told me to buy, and I absolutely love it. So, Jessica, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how you got to where you are today.
Okay.
So let's rewind.
Okay.
You went out to California
Yes.
with dreams of going into fashion. You went to fashion school.
Yes.
And what were you planning to do once you got out of fashion school?
So I had tried to go to fashion school forever, but my parents were gung-ho about me not moving to California because I knew nobody there.
Yeah.
So finally convinced them after I had been in a major here I didn't like, worked some odd jobs. Finally at 23, I was like, all right, it's my time. So drove out there, met my roommate on Facebook. Had never met her in real life.
That's awesome.
We met the day we moved in. It worked out. She was really cool. She was also at FITM, and my goal was just to get my fashion degree and then kind of go from there. I thought about moving to New York. There weren't a ton of clothing companies based in California, but I found Monique Lillier. She designs really high-end wedding gowns, runway dresses, some beautiful clothing. So I started working in her production department after I graduated from school. And it sounds like really cool and glamorous, but it was basically like a sweatshop.
Oh, gosh.
So I did a lot with like the pattern makers, ordering trims for dresses, that kind of stuff. It was a great job and I loved it, but it was
it sounds kind of grueling. I mean,
it was grueling.
Yeah.
It was a grind. It was a hustle, but it was really satisfying at the end of the day to see all this hard work into these beautiful gowns that I had helped create, and that was what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so it was really hard work, but it was very rewarding at the end of the day.
What would have been your ultimate dream that at that point? Like if somebody just came to you with a magic box and said, "Here, open it. This
and
is
$1 million, my own clothing line." That would have been my dream come true. I just knew that would have cost a lot of money, and I was really scared to take that money and then not know if it was going to work. I didn't want to fail. So I knew I could go work somewhere like Monique Lillier that is already an established brand, and I could still be creative, but not have to have the worry of, oh my gosh, what if I lose $1 million or something, something like that. It would still be awesome to have my own clothing line one day, but that's a very far dream.
Sure. So you're out in California, and then something happened family-wise
so
kind of put your dreams on hold.
Yeah, I'm from Atlanta. I grew up here. I had met my husband in California, and we got married. We'd been married a couple years, and I was at work at Monique, and my dad had been sick. He was having some heart problems. The heart conditions kind of run in the family. And he was young, though, 54, and he'd had heart surgery. The surgery went fine. I got a call from my husband, and he was in the car, and I was like, that's really weird. He's supposed to be at work. And he was like, hey, something's wrong with your dad. I'm coming to get you. And I was like, okay. And like 3 seconds later, he called me back, and my dad had passed. So what happened was my dad had open heart surgery. The surgery went great. And then the next day, he got a blood clot, and it killed him immediately. So he didn't even die from anything heart-related, which was what the problem was. It was the blood clot. So I was pregnant at the time. I was 22 weeks pregnant with our first kid. And we had talked about moving back to Georgia just because we didn't have family in California. And we just thought it would be better to be around. I mean, I grew up around my family, and we weren't super sure about raising kids in California. And my husband's actually from the East Coast as well. So we've talked about it. And then once my dad passed, my parents had been married like 35 years. I was like, I need to be with my mom. Mm-hmm. So I actually moved back pregnant, left my husband in California because he wasn't sure what he was going to do with a job. I literally walked out of my job that day, and I never went back. Like, that was it. They knew.
Oh, my goodness, Jessica.
Yeah. So I went to we got my stuff, went to the airport, and then I wound up flying back to help my husband, like, pack up our condo. We sold our condo. We found a house to rent in Georgia. He was here for 24 hours. So we found a house to rent. It was just a whirlwind. So he finally moved. He drove across the country and he came back and met me. And I was about 32 or 33 weeks pregnant when he came back. And we've been here since. That was like a little over 6 years ago because my son is 6 now.
So at that point, what did you think about your future in fashion?
To be honest, I kind of thought it was done. And I think I had kind of come to terms with that because I knew I wanted to be a mom and I kind of felt like that was going to be my focus at that time. But a part of me was just like a little bit crushed because I'd finally got my dream. Sorry, I'm going to cry. I'd finally got my dream job and I just walked out, like it was hard. So, I was okay with it. I was sad because of all that was going on with my family and, it was just a lot. So, but I just kind of put all that energy into being a mom,
Yeah.
So I was okay with it. It was hard because I had my son so quickly after my dad passed that I kind of just put that on the back burner dealing with that. So I had my son, he was, I think, 2, and I got pregnant again with my daughter. And at that time, I felt like I had a pretty good grip on, like, how to be a mom and this kind of stuff. I still was kind of missing, like, the adult interaction, but then we had another, like, family tragedy and my sister passed.
Oh, my gosh.
I have 3 sisters, 1 biological and 2 adopted. The 2 adopted sisters we had since they were very, very young. So they were never any different. They had some issues with addiction and that kind of stuff. Their mom struggled with that. My second to youngest sister was an alcoholic. And she went and completed a treatment program. She was doing so well. And she got in contact with a friend that was a bad news and did a drug, and she did it one time and it killed her. So that was when I was pregnant with my daughter.
Wow.
So I know I have a rough
Or you're
pregnancies.
like, okay, this is it. We are no more kids.
We are definitely not having any more babies because I cannot have any more family tragedies. Right. So we are definitely done with kids. So when that happened, I was just like, I need to do something for me. Like, I had talked to my husband about starting a blog. I had seen other women doing it, and I was like, I really think I could do it. It seems like it might be a lot of work, but the kids are, 5 and I think 1 or something at this point. They're not baby anymore. So I kept talking to my husband about it, and not this past Christmas, but Christmas 2017. Yeah, Christmas 2017. We were exchanging gifts, and I had told him exactly what I wanted the website to be, what I wanted it to look like, all this stuff, and I just hadn't done it. I was opening my stocking, and he had put like a website address in my stocking, and he was like, go grab your computer and type this in. And I was like, all right. So I typed it in, and this website came up, and it was kinseyandcoco.com, and he had made my entire blog. He had even gone as far to write a blog post, like pretending to be me and like what I would say. He did the logo, he did everything.
Oh my gosh.
So he was like, okay, you've been talking about this forever. Now here it is.
Yeah.
And do with it what you think you should do.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, no pressure.
But what a gift, because so many times that first jump off that ledge is the scariest, right? And he just did it for you.
He knew I would never do it. He knew I would talk about it forever, and then I would regret not doing it 5 years down the road. Yeah. So he was like, here, I'm giving you this gift. Now you do it. Wow. You can do the rest. I started it. Now you do the rest.
All the ladies listening are like, hold on, pause. I'm going to rewind this and play this for my partner.
Where do we find one of those? I mean, it's true. He really did give me a gift. He just believed in me. And he's believed in me since I've met him. He's always pushed me to, follow my dreams. And I am so thankful that he pushed me to do this, because I wouldn't have done it. And he knew that. I was scared of the people on the internet and what people might say, or the other moms for judging me for doing something that was,
right.
It can be hard.
Sure.
And people can be judgmental. So I was worried about, and at the end of the day, my number one job is still to be a mom. So I didn't want to put that on the back burner ever. So I wanted my kids to always know that they're my number one priority, even though mommy still does this on the side.
Right. Yeah.
But so it took me a couple weeks, and I finally wrote my first blog post January 2018.
Wow. And you have been going ever since.
Yeah.
And Jessica, I mean, I've been able to witness your growth over the year, and it's just been amazing. It's one of those things where I feel like when you finally land too on the thing that you were created to do, it just works.
Yeah.
And every, like I already said, but every post that you do, every Insta story, that is such a gift to other people.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that you're doing this now. I really am, because I think you do a really great job.
Thank you so much.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about the blog and what you've learned over the years. You said, okay, I know that starting a blog probably is not that easy. So what do you feel like has been the hardest thing for you?
The hardest thing.
It can be a couple if you want.
Yeah. Okay, so the hardest thing is sitting down and actually writing out a blog post, and it is time consuming. And I would say the hardest thing for me has been how to manage my time, because I do have 2 kids that are now like in baseball and dance, and I have to feed them and bathe them and make them go to school, and it's a lot to figure out how to manage my time. And then there's things like with the blog that I want to do, like social things where I feel like I do need to go to these things to interact with other people that are in the same field and put myself out there. And that's, I feel like, how you grow is by putting yourself out there. So there's things like that I need to do. So I would say definitely time management has been probably one of the hardest things for me to be able to learn this past year, because I will be the first to admit I'm still not great at it. There are times where things have slipped through the crack and I've forgotten something, or not a kid yet, thank God. But I feel like we might get there one day.
Every parent has, right?
Oh my
At some
gosh.
point.
I'm like, one of these days I'm going to forget to pick somebody up at school.
But if you don't, then when they grow up, they don't have a good story to tell.
Yeah, exactly.
So really,
my mom left me at school when I was 6.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
He won't be too scarred for life, hopefully. That's been really hard. I would say figuring out what people really like and really don't like. Because I would say my fashion sense is not like super, I don't want to say normal, but it's not like, I feel like I dress maybe a little bit different than most moms. I don't want to say it's weird, but it's a little bit different. So
eclectic?
Yes, maybe. Yes. Yeah. I would say figuring out what the audience that follows me likes and doesn't like has been a little bit challenging, because I know my fashion sense, but I also have to make sure that's accessible to the people that are following me.
Right.
I don't want to be so out there that it's not something that they're going to like. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I totally know what you mean. What have you found, do you feel like asking people on social media has helped the best? Or has there been something that you feel like you've gotten a glimmer of what people do want?
Well, the thing I get the most, and I have straight up asked people, why do you follow me?
Yeah.
What do you like about? And 9 times out of 10, people will say that I'm relatable. And I'm like, I didn't really think I was that relatable, but that is what, because I guess I'm not out there, shopping at like Gucci or Prada. And I mean, that's great if you can do that.
Right.
I am not in a financial situation where that is my life. But if you can, cool. But I think that is why people do like following me, because, I shop at places where it's attainable. I just bought 3 bathing suits at Target the other day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's accessible fashion. It's easy for a mom. It's not something that they're going to have to think too hard about. So I think that it is easy for people to relate to me, because I'm a mom and I have mom struggles, and I still have, there's still days where it's not easy.
Yeah.
But I think people like to see that. They don't want to see this perfectly curated life, because that's not real.
It's not real. Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of relatable, you just got back from New York Fashion Week.
Oh yeah, that's super relatable of me.
I know. No, but that must have been just a pinnacle of
it really
your blogging
was.
career?
Okay, so this happened. This is not normal. Okay, so this happened because I had developed a relationship with Toyota. I met one of the PR people from Toyota at a conference, and I had worked with them on a previous campaign. And come to find out, Toyota owns Lexus, and Lexus sponsors New York Fashion Week. So it was like all the cards just fell in my lap for this to
Wow.
work out. I knew the PR lady at Lexus. She was like, come to Fashion Week. And I was like, really? Come to Fashion Week? For real? And she was like, yeah, we have tickets. We can do dinner. We can do this. And I was like, oh, I can't say no to this.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I have literally dreamed about going to New York Fashion Week as long as I can possibly remember. I've never been to a runway show. I mean, I always wanted to do this. So when they said come, I was like, I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm for sure going. So they took me to see the Bachelor Mishka show, the Tadashi Soji show. I got to dress up like a princess and go in a Lexus. And it was incredible. And I felt a little weird doing it almost because I was like, I don't deserve this. But my husband kept saying, yes, you do. You've worked really hard. Like you have literally dreamed about this for as long as I've known you. You more than deserve this.
And it is still relatable, Jessica, because it's like that is your Cinderella moment.
Yes.
You know, you are that person that this has been a dream and you're realizing it and people get to see that through you. And it's inspiring, you know?
And it was really cool because a lot of the people that follow me knew that, you know, this was like a big moment for me. And they would message me and say that they were so happy for me. And, you know, they were like, you're so in your element right now.
Yeah.
Like, you can just, like, I just felt like I was glowing. I know that sounds crazy.
No, no, it's so, no, I totally get that. And anybody can relate to that, you know, of finally achieving something that they've wished for a long time.
Yeah, I really, because when I worked for Monique, they did runway shows, and I was probably never going to get to go. That was something that the designers did, and I would see them go every season, and I was like, gosh, that would be so cool. I can't even imagine sitting there, like, watching clothing come down the runway. That it was just a surreal experience. It really was.
That's so cool. Well, and Jessica and I were just talking actually before we kind of cracked open the mics about how Jessica actually did Rent the Runway while she was there, which is so smart.
It's the greatest thing ever. If you've never done Rent the Runway, do it right now.
So much more affordable. You can then get several dresses for that whole week.
Yes.
And they looked gorgeous on you.
I would have never been able to. I mean, I literally brought a Bachelor Mishka dress with me that I would never buy in real life. It was like an $800 dress. I'm not buying that, but I'll rent it and send it back.
Right.
So I did the thing where it's like $99 a month and you can get as many dresses as you want.
Wow.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
And I brought a bunch of really pretty dresses that I could never afford in real life to New York with me.
That is awesome. I do love Rent the Runway, but I'm definitely going to do that.
Yes.
Maybe even for Italy or something like that.
It's perfect for that. It's so great.
Okay, so based on kind of what you saw even during Fashion Week, what do you feel like are just some really good staple items that we should have in our closet for the warmer months that are coming up that will be easy to do, but also look fun and trendy?
Yeah. So there was a ton of like neon stuff, which I was like, oh, okay. It was a lot, not particularly something I would wear normally, but I was like, okay, I could probably do that with like a more muted, a neon top with some muted pants or shorts or something. Not, I mean, they had like full neon outfits. Oh, not my scene. But I mean, I could work with neon probably. Yeah. The things that I love in the summer are, I will spend my money on a good pair of denim shorts. Like last year, I splurged and I bought some designer denim shorts. Yeah. I don't splurge on a ton of things, but if it's something like that, like that I'm going to wear forever, I'll splurge on it. That, a good pair of sandals. I bought my first Tory Burch sandals last summer. That's the kind of stuff that I wear during the summer. It's hot in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I am trying to wear as little as possible and still be modest. And I'm obsessed with Madewell. This is no secret if you follow me on Instagram. And Madewell just launched a swimwear line. Oh. I'm so excited. I ordered 3 bathing suits from them this morning.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
Yes. I love everything they do. Okay. It's conservative, but it's still trendy, but it's pieces that you could wear forever.
Forever, yeah.
Like their
Timeless.
jeans,
Yeah.
I've had their jeans for years.
Mhm.
So I love them. So I'm very excited about their swim they have. And I am going to try them all on. I can't wait.
Yay. For us on
Yes,
Instagram,
yes.
right? Because that's
Looking
what she
like
does.
so normal in a bathing suit on Instagram stories.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's-
awkward.
Yeah, that's got to
It's
be tough.
The most awkward thing ever to be in a bathing suit on the internet for thousands of people to see.
But again, relatable, because that takes a lot of courage.
Oh, that's why I
You're
go to
like,
Orange Theory all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Better her try on that bathing suit than me. This is great. Okay, so what if you had like a fashion philosophy, if it could be summed up in a short little phrase, what would that be?
Wear what makes you happy. I like to get up in the morning and, I mean, you might be having like a bad day. And I mean, this is so silly, but like an outfit can really make you feel better. Like, put on something that's going to make you happy or change your mood or, you know, don't follow what everybody else is doing and do you. I mean, whatever it is that makes you happy, if it's something that you think is crazy, if it makes you happy, it doesn't matter. I mean, I try to, you know, look at the trends and see what's popular and that kind of stuff. But also at the end of the day, like, if it's not for me, it's not for me. Mm-hmm. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. Like, you should do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And that's been my philosophy forever.
Great. I love that. Jessica, if people want to be able to follow you, and especially with the try-ons, y'all, it's really good. Let me just tell you. I'm serious. I'm like, especially when you do them on the weekends, because that's time I have to go online and to, you know, shop or whatever. Then I'm like, oh, great. Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. You just did all my work for me.
And
I
you know,
really
moms
appreciate it.
love try-ons.
Yeah.
Because they hate taking their kids to a fitting room.
I can imagine.
Oh my gosh, it's the worst. Yeah. And I sacrifice, guys. I do it for you. I take my 3-year-old in a fitting room.
Take one for the team.
But I get more messages from moms like, thank you for doing that. I hate taking my kids.
Yeah, I can imagine. So how can people follow you?
Okay. So I am on Instagram. My name is Jessica S. Ross. And then my blog is kinseyandcoco.com, which is Kinsey, Mackenzie, and Mackenzie couldn't say Colton's name, so she called him Coco.
Oh, that's so cute. And we'll have all those links too in the show notes below this. So if you want to quickly get over there, then you can do that via those hyperlinks. And if you want to hear more from Jessica, then you can shoot on over to the Heidi Rue Show YouTube page, because we're going to still kind of talk a little bit after this, but we're going to wrap it up for here on the podcast. And thank you again, Jessica, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. You're so sweet.
I wanted to know kind of what your plans are for this coming year. I mean, you've already got a year under your belt blogging.
Yes.
What do you feel like are some goals or things that you want to accomplish this year?
I would love to continue working with some of the brands that I've worked with. Like I said, I've developed a great partnership with Toyota. They're actually on Friday, I'm going with them to Charleston. They are a sponsor at Charleston Food and Wine. Ooh. So I am taking a friend with me, and we are going to Charleston for the weekend for Charleston Food and Wine. Yeah. So I really want to continue to develop these relationships that I've started, because I feel like I've met some really, really great people in the industry, like Toyota. I've worked with Mud Pie. There's a couple brands that I really want to work with. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that I can reach out to them and hopefully get that rolling. I would love to go back to Fashion Week. September is like the time to go. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That's definitely another like wish bucket list kind of item for me this year. And I just want to keep growing. I've met some really, really great people. I've made some of the best friends doing this. So I just want to keep the momentum. Mm-hmm. I want to keep enjoying it, because if there's ever a time that I don't enjoy it, I don't want to do it. Yeah. So I want to make sure that I'm still doing what makes me happy and staying true to me, and hopefully I'll continue to do that this year.
That's great. And what have been some tips that you've kind of found with working with brands? Like, I mean, how do you even reach out to them, and then how do you maintain those relationships? What have you found?
I have reached out to a few, and you have to, I feel like I had a hard time hearing no. Before I started doing this. And nobody ever wants to hear no. But I've had to develop a little thicker skin, I guess. being on the internet and, sometimes you get some not nice people and sometimes brands will tell you no. So I think that learning to be okay with no and maybe having a door closed doesn't mean it's closed forever. Maybe reach out again in 6 months and say like, hey, this is what I'm doing now. Would you like to work together again? Like, would you like to work together now? Or I've been to conferences and I've just kind of put myself out there where I've met a lot of brands. I've had to do things that were uncomfortable, like go to events alone or, travel alone, and which is things I normally wouldn't do. But I've done it because I know that the opportunities are there. And if I don't put myself out there, then I might be missing out on something. So that's probably been one of the biggest hurdles for me, is having to just put myself out there and talk to people that I'm totally don't know and are, it's nerve wracking. But going to things by yourself, it's hard, but it's provided me a lot of really great opportunities. And I'm really thankful that I've done it, because I don't think I would be where I was today if I hadn't just put myself out there and been uncomfortable in situations where I don't know anybody.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about your family too. I want to know, how does Kenzie feel about fashion? Is she's like obsessed. A mini you?
Oh my gosh, I've created a mini monster.
Oh, no.
It is, she is literally me, because this is the most ridiculous story. When I was little, my parents had to leave one outfit in my room every night, because if there was more than one choice, then I would cry or fight them. So they took all the clothes out of my room, put them in another room, and left one outfit every single night.
Oh my gosh.
For school the next day. And that is literally Mackenzie. She will change clothes 75 times before she goes to school if I don't stop her.
Right.
Yesterday, she got her recital costume. And she sobbed and sobbed and sobbed when she had to take it off. And I had to hide it. I had to hide it in our house, because she will not wear anything else if it is available.
Oh my goodness.
So yes, somebody told me the other day that Kenzie needs her own YouTube, and I was like, she probably does.
Yeah.
Because she's really funny.
I see her every time you get on Insta story and she's there. She's just like, oh hey.
Yeah, hey, look at me. Look at my dress. Look at this. And which is so funny, because my son is the opposite. Like he's 6 and he wants nothing to do with this.
Oh, I'm sure. I bet he's kind of like,
pictures.
Thank goodness Kenzie's here, because I don't want to.
He doesn't want to do any of it.
Part of this.
No.
Is he more like your husband? Kind of?
Probably, yes. Yeah. And Mackenzie is me.
Yeah.
She even looks a lot like me, I think.
Yeah. I love that. She does really look like you. Seriously. So, okay. So if someone were to, again, give you this box, this is your dream, whatever, $1 million, however much it takes, would it still be to have a clothing line?
Yeah. I would like to create a clothing line that I felt like was easy for moms to wear. There's places for moms to shop, obviously, but I don't want to go shop at, nothing against Gap or like Old you know what I mean? But I don't want to be like everybody else. I want something that's different and unique, but still not too trendy that, it's not going to be cool in a year.
Right.
That would be. And I would love to have a line where I felt like all the pieces kind of went together. Like you could mix and match, and, these jeans go with this shirt, but it also goes with this skirt. And like kind of like a capsule wardrobe, where it's like 13 to 15, 16 pieces where they all just go together.
And you can interchange.
Yes.
Yeah, that is great. Because it's so, sometimes I'll get a piece at one store and then another piece in another store and think that it would go together. But when I get there, it's something is off, whether it's just the certain stitching, like it doesn't actually go in as much as it needs to on the side, or color is just slightly off, or so that would be huge.
I would love that. It's just, it's hard, like, to come up with the designs, then to manufacture them, then to find, it's a long process. I went to school and my major was product development. So I would see garments from, the pattern, the sketch, all the way to the very end through the manufacturing. But that could take an entire year just to do a couple of pieces.
Right.
So it's a long process that requires a lot of money and a lot of people, and I don't know if I'm there yet. I would love that when the kids are a little bit older. and I become a millionaire. But maybe one day.
Right.
That would be amazing.
Well, good. Well, we look forward to that one day. And thanks again so much for being here.
Of course, thank you for having
again,
me.
everyone that's joining us on YouTube, all the information will be in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe. But I think we'll put something on the video. Hunter does my video, so he'll add something on there or something. But anyways, so thank you guys for joining us. And thanks again, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Heidi.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of the Heidi Rue Show podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you can catch the next one, and make sure you hit that bell. And if you'd like to listen via the podcast platforms, you can find those below. We would love to hear from you. Join in on the conversation on Instagram or Facebook. And I hope this episode encouraged you. Don't stop, get it, get it.